Let's.
Howdy. We're just doing an early morning chill stream. My friend here, Itachi, I guess, just asked if he could come on. I'm like, sure, why not? So I'm just gonna be
Yeah.
live editing a little bit and chatting. He had some criticisms of, and maybe we'll just put that on at some point, perhaps. But we're kind of doing a fairly free forum here.
So, guys. So, we should talk about the recent video. John accidentally killing Joffrey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he
So,
felt like it
like
was a
one
bit
of the
rushed.
yeah, it was like way rushed. Things were going very fast, and I think the script you sent to me, like when you were writing the script from zero, was much better than this one.
That was just there was nothing.
Yeah,
Well,
like the
nothing
raw
changed
script.
about it.
The raw script was feeling better than the final.
The raw script was included within this. There were no changes to what I sent you earlier.
I mean, there were some changes. The one of the things I noticed that this was paced very fast, and the raw was paced slowly, and it was going very nicely.
So here's
This
the thing
is all
about it.
about the pacing.
Well, so for me, it was so the beginning is slower paced, and then I accelerate. So yeah, you are correct.
And to be honest, the video's editing is also not the best. So I stopped the video like in mid and just dropped the video because I couldn't watch it. Like it felt just too rushed, and just the editing literally was not the best thing.
So, rushed how so exactly?
I felt that the moments should have been longer, like the whole John killing Joffrey thing that should have been longer, and him going to Essos should be, more extended. Like he went to Essos very quickly, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That should
Yeah.
have been taking some time. Him traveling to the forts and getting on the ship would have been kind of a challenge for him while the guards were looking for him. So that's one of the things.
Uh, my thought was I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to put in, and there was nothing really plot relevant within his travel to Essos, so I just tossed it out and said, "No, okay, okay, okay." He apparently died. Okay. Yeah. So for me, it was. I guess we could. I don't know if we will though. Okay. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm back. I was saying that one of the main things that I, thought about the video was it like didn't, you know, had that much impact on anything. Like if you see the starting points from John killing Joffrey, that was good. But then the talk with Cersei, Robert, and Ned was not the best. The Robert and Ned talk conversation would have been much better if like we would have seen Cersei trying talking to someone else, like so having a conversation between Cersei and Sansa would have been something.
I considered that, but then I was like, I don't need to put that in because it'll make unnecessary work for Boba. That was my perspective.
I guess Boba would have had quite a time. One of the things I can say that this theory should have been in two parts. That would have been something.
Mhm. Um, I didn't. I think it could have been, and I had 800 spare words left, but I was like, well, one, I wasn't interested in anything in the Seven Kingdoms since nothing particularly interesting in the Kingdoms was happening to me. I was like, all right, I got to make a opportunity cost choice here. I can either um, make this all about John's story, or I can mix and match and shortchange both. And so I was like, all right, let's just do John's knock-on effects, and then just have a transfer into Aegon being the POV or at least the protagonist, and take up the baton from John after John's story ends. That was my perspective on it. So
Yeah, I can see why you did all of that you did. Like one of the reason I think that this story couldn't go all out was the word limits. That was one of the thing. And Boba, of course, is also a human. That's
yeah, yeah, I yeah I yeah for me it was like, all right, I've got a few things that I want to do. I don't believe that I can justify making it two parts, especially when I can summarize a lot of the elements with just the important elements of what's happening in the Seven Kingdoms with via narration, since those parts aren't necessarily that important. Um, and we can just be nice and efficient with things. That was my perspective on it.
yeah. I can see why you did all of that. Though, when we were discussing this theory in the grand suggestion, like when the competition was going on, we had so much in mind that I also
I
told
didn't read
you, but of
it.
course didn't follow.
I honestly didn't read it. I didn't read much of it. I didn't reread it while watching, since I was like, I'm probably just going to do my own thing. Honestly. So
Also, that the fact that the editing literally just is just random clips. If you see the editing, they're just random clips.
yeah, that's not my problem. I can't affect that.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I couldn't watch the video. I had to like read the script itself.
yeah, I just yeah, I don't have any control over that.
Yeah,
But
I would really like to see John, like power hungry John, in one of the theories. Him just being hungry for everything, like hungry for wanting everything, wanting Pinnacle and like the whole kingdoms, seven kingdoms, a power hungry. Like that would have been something.
that would be interesting to do at some point, perhaps. Um,
Yeah, like one of the theory that I suggested, as John becoming a king's guard, he could have done that in that like theory.
in this,
No, I mean,
um,
I also suggested one of the theory that John becoming a king's guard and
uh,
first aspiring for Jamie. and then becoming the king's guard.
Okay. Who dies as in order to give him a spot? Do they just dismiss Sir Mandan or Sir Boros? Honestly, I was like, okay.
Let's talk like how would this theory would really go about John becoming a king's guard.
Depends on when he becomes it.
Let's say that in this universe, John is really skilled like his father Rhaegar, and Jamie notices him when he's in Winterfell and tells him to come with him in King's Landing. That will be a good start.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I don't know if I'll pick up that story since that doesn't really sound very interesting to me, and there are a lot of other interesting prompts that I have. But might be interesting. Interesting to see what one of the other guys takes out of it. Currently got I've quite a few things. Hello, how's
How's
it
it?
going?
I'm saying like House of the Dragon theories are just the best. Like they are the things to watch. They are the things to listen to. They have
Oh,
so much variety and so much difference than the Game of Thrones theories.
that is mostly because I get bored and try I write and have to write something else.
Whatever,
Uh,
it's just like so unique. Every video just feels so different and just so unique in its own way.
yeah. Yeah, with this, yeah, since I'm kind of the only guy writing House of the Dragon. So,
Yeah, every video feels different. Every video feels like entirely different. Like there's no connection in between any videos, and like it just feels unique, original. Every theory.
yeah, I have to come up with various different things. I think is still my favorite like theory in general is what if Damon had a trueborn son with Rhea Royce. Um, that's my personal favorite because there's I actually did a 6 hour live stream just kind of talking about all the little details and the character work I put into it.
Yeah, I saw that
Um,
live stream.
mhm. And so, but yeah, with each House of the Dragon one, I have to come up with something different because I'm just like, all right, because the conflict is unilateral, the Targaryens have no rivals. As soon as the High Towers are neutralized, plot's over. Now what? I have to figure out something else.
Yeah, I feel like using the Lannisters or something.
Uh, the, the Lannisters have nothing that they can do. They have no counters.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
like they pretty much, if the High Towers are gone, the Targaryens have an authoritarian dictatorship. It's a benevolent authoritarian dictatorship under Viserys, but it is a dictatorship. Since functionally they have 6 flying nukes that there is no counter for. The only way that Dorne was able to win against Aegon and his sisters was a combination of plot armor and a lucky shot with a ballista into Merax's eye, and the fact that Aegon actually cared about his subjects, unlike the Dornish. The Dornish are just a bunch of psychopaths who don't care about their own people.
Do you know about the letter that the Dawn sent to Aegon after killing Meraxes?
Uh,
There are
that
so
was a
many
few
theories
years.
about it.
Oh yeah, I'm intimately familiar with it. I've read Fire and Blood a few times. I've used it a couple times. The theory that I personally like is actually not one within the book. It's that they actually brought her body to Dragonstone, and that's where he flew off to, so he could burn her body, and then he kind of came back. Indeed, indeed. But yeah, that's the theory that I agree with, since I don't think that any of the others make sense.
Hello there, Tolkien. How are you?
But yeah, this one is definitely my favorite. Honestly, it's um. I guess what are necessarily your favorite stories from the House of the Dragon scripts?
Like my favorite ones. There are too many good ones.
Hmm,
Too many good ones, and too many that I haven't watched.
okay,
I
what
like the one
about
where I like the one where Rhaenyra claims the cannibal. I don't remember the
uh
name.
this one? Yeah, Rhaenys
Yeah,
being made queen. Okay.
yeah, that was one. That literally was one of the best because Rhaenyra getting the cannibal was not expected, and it just blew me off. This
Mm-hmm.
video is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
Also the
writing it.
one,
Sorry, go for it.
also the one with Viserys and Balerion. The whole perspective from Balerion was just perfect. I like to see more of the dragon's perspective.
Mm. Yeah, I did that with I kind of did a neat yesterday I did a stream talking about the difference between how I wrote the um Balerion surviving to Aegon's reign and the Cannibal Awakening when Jon was born. Um so mainly because I thought it would be cool to have the contrast between the psychopathic dragon and the relatively chill dragon. The Last Adventure one. Okay, so you like the Viserys's wife survived childbirth one, the horror one with Yin. Okay, yeah, I fully admit that I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna go with this one. Um, this kind of solves a lot of the problems. What am I gonna do? And so I was like, all right, all right, let's go to Yin. We've never done a haunted house story. Let's just do that. So that was that was kind of the idea where we're using a bunch of say a bunch of stuff from the Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah, that was I like a true Yuri relationship. Yeah, I probably could have expanded a little bit, but I was kind of like they're just going to be in wet Essos taking care of things, and I felt like them escaping from Yin was like, well, there's no and talking Damon down. I didn't feel like there was anything more that I could do to really just do it rather than just dragging it out, and it would allow good master uh, good master Boba to have some measure of ease when it comes to uh, narrating if I make the word count a little bit shorter.
Okay, what do you think about what if Jace marries Helena?
Yeah, back on pop point. It could have been interesting if they were back there. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I think that it would solve quite a bit of problems because now it's basically, yeah, they are the High Towers have their blood on the Iron Throne. It will make Daemon pissed off. And Corlys a little bit because with Baela and Rhaena, there's some that they are actually Valarians since we've gone with even though there is some plausible deniability in the book for them not uh for them being legitimate, since even the Green supporter Septon Eustace says that they are trueborn. And Melos is clearly a conspirator.
To be honest, if even they were legitimate, I don't think that would help really, because Hightowers would just find another reason to disinherit Rhaenyra.
They try, yeah.
I mean, if something is not working, then find another something to work. That's what just Hightowers do. Like Omen is just doing that in the recent episodes.
Yeah. It's just kind of a matter of figuring out how they would do it is the problem.
Yeah.
Because one of the problems that I have sometimes is just a lot of the ways that they are going to try to destabilize her are so dumb that I'm just like, no competent person would come up with this, and this wouldn't work. So that's kind of one of my problems is just I'm like, how are they going to do it? I kind of did it with the Rhaenyra marrying Harwin Strong deal, where they decide to use force, and even then, it was kind of like that's ever so slightly weak in some ways. So that was my thought process. But with Aegon marrying Rhaenyra, they just went with poison because I was like, all right, that's actually simple, effective, and fairly
Yeah,
common.
that was a good video. I really liked it.
Thank you. What did you like about it?
I mean, the whole relationship between Rhaenyra and Aegon.
Hmm.
It's really
Yeah,
a good idea.
yeah. Fall if they were actually following succession laws, doesn't matter that Rhaenys is the firstborn. Could you clarify a little bit? Um, I think that it's just I love the videos. Yeah, yeah, I like writing them. The better. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And honestly, I do really like Rhaenyra and Lena as a pairing. Male preference, yeah. Since yeah, I would not say the Iron Throne does. I would say that the pattern has been the king chooses his heir or he gets usurped in the case of Maegor and uh, everything else of that nature. Because one of the things that Preston J cited is that Aegon chose his heir, Aenys. Then Aenys theoretically kind of chose Maegor by giving him Blackfire. Then he exiled him and chose Aegon as his heir. Then we have Maegor choosing Arya. Maegor gets usurped by Jaehaerys. Jaehaerys selects Aemon over Daenerys. He then selects Balon over Rhaenys. And when Balon dies, he goes with tries to go to Vaegon. Then when Vaegon says no and suggests the Great Council, rather stupidly, Jaehaerys agrees because he's senile and a moron. Then we have, and then after the Great Council, he chooses is Viserys as his heir over Rhaenys, and then Viserys chooses Rhaenyra. So
It's so confusing. Like, it's just the whole family branching is just so freaking confusing. I really can't understand the Targaryen family tree. It's just so messed up.
it is. It is.
Okay, I was thinking about one of the theories. This is like, what if Helena killed Rhaenyra when they were in the uh, I don't remember. What was that? The whole great party.
You mean Alicent killing Rhaenyra at the what, like the wedding party? Is that what you're thinking about? Which one?
I meant Helena.
Helena killing
Yeah,
Rhaenyra?
yes. Like this one is she's a true high tower. Let's go with that.
Uh, uh, okay, at what point would she kill Rhaenyra? I'm just like, all right, this.
You
I'm
know,
interested.
you know, I'm really interested in it, well, because Helena is such a nice character, and if she goes evil like a mastermind, that would be so crazy.
Um, I legit don't know. I don't know what point. I think that would be interesting, but I don't know when in the timeline I could do that because,
Yeah, the timeline is also the one I was thinking of. Let's say
uh,
when Rhaenyra is on Dragonstone and Helena comes to Dragonstone as a helper and tries to, get in the blacks, because everyone would trust her because she's the kindest, and then she just backstabs them.
hmm, maybe. I don't know. We'd have to
I mean
do
that.
major changes. There's also the problem of
Yeah.
how old is she, and since this inherently is going to be, I imagine this is going to have to be after Aemon
Aegon
loses
is
his
crowned.
eye. No, I don't think that would work. As soon as
Yeah.
she gets there, it would
Like,
have to be between. It would be
yeah.
the thought that I would have is that if we are going to have this make some measure of sense, it would have to be between um, uh, Aemon losing his eye and Aegon's coronation. That's the
Yeah.
only gap that where I can see it making sense. Um, so it's weird since the gap in the books, in the show, yes, it's Aegon and Aemond, but the problem is Aemond is and Aegon are both significantly older than both of them. It makes more sense that Daeron is Jace's sparring partner because Daeron and Jace were milk brothers, and they have some measure um, of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if Otto raised Helena, that is what if Helena was evil? Not evil, a mastermind for sure.
Hmm. Might be interesting. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, that could be interesting. Jay. Eh.
Also, one of the like inconsistencies, the thing about the show writing is that it's like so weird, Alicent was ready to kill Rhaenyra when the strong boys took one eye from Aemond, but in the latest season, she's ready to kill off Aemond and Aegon and literally anyone to survive by herself.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's phenomenally stupid. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
And
I like that. That might be interesting.
that's so weird.
It's because the show writers are not intelligent.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like she's ready
yeah,
to kill anyone to protect her children, and then she's ready to kill her children. That is just dumb
yeah.
writing.
Oh yeah, it's there. It we've had um yeah. So we have that right here. Um so yeah. So yeah, we did do that. I think a big problem with House of the Dragon is just the writers don't actually communicate. They with each don't seem to communicate because the House of the Dragon has some major just basic continuity problems, even in season one, where the characters change on a dime, and it's really frustrating. And they seem to have a weird bias where they don't want to make Alicent a bad person for some reason. And
Yeah, that's just weird.
yeah, feeds
Yeah, I
Reyna
like
a
feel,
sheep.
I was on green side for season one and two because of Damon, but now in season three, I am on green side because of Aegon. Like, my man is going from character development that is just crazy, and I don't want it to be butchered by the writers. I'm just hoping they don't butcher that. The character development is just crazy.
Yeah, I based most of it off of the book because I hate the show, honestly. I really hate large parts of the show. And I feel like they missed a lot of opportunities. I guess I could have made Harwin and Rainier more there because I just was like, I don't know how to write Harwin Strong. He's kind of a blank slate character. Um,
Okay,
I just
let's go with this. What if Viserys named Daemon his heir? Let's go with that.
um, Otto would have a cow. Um, um, Let me think. What are some other things?
Everything is
Um,
going normally like in the main timeline, but just the fact that is Rhaenyra is not going to become the queen, but Daemon is going to become the king. And of course, Rhaenyra and Daemon are not married, just like in the main timeline.
Lena and
Daemon.
if Damon's heir, Lena and uh, I don't think he would marry Rhaenyra. I think that in order to, he might, but he could also. I think that he might go with he might go with Lena Valerian, because if he's the heir in his own right, he doesn't really need to marry Rhaenyra, and if he marries Lena, he gets the immediate support of the Sea Snake.
Yeah, and
And
Hightower would also have a plan because Damon only has daughters. So I think Otto would find a way to, say something bad about him.
theoretically, or he would try to marry his grandchildren to Damon's. That's
Yeah,
also a
that also makes
possibility.
sense.
Because if Alicent doesn't marry, because if Alicent remarries to Viserys, and Aegon is born, theoretically Aegon could be married to Baela. Theoretically, at least. Probably still have a few other things. Rhaenyra probably
But
isn't a. I think that Rhaenyra would kind of just be there, since she only really becomes super ambition if she's named the heir. That honestly pisses me off so much. That would be so funny, or he just becomes the uh like just becomes Maegor the Cruel and just says, "Oh, I'll just have a harem." Yeah, that would be hilarious. Honestly, but taking a look at that, I uh really really hate the fact that they uh
okay, one of the things
that
that
they
I
cut
want to
that.
talk about is the Aemond. Aemond said to Rhaenyra that they can conquer everything, like the whole Essos, and make a new old Valyria. So I'm like thinking, if Daemon becomes king, he will like try to conquer everything, even Dawn, even Essos. That will be a great video.
Possibly. I think one of the things that he would have to wait on is
By the way, I
for
don't think that Damon will let Aegon or Aemond marry Bela, because like there's no chance he will let Green's boys take take his daughter. Like that's not possible.
probably not. No, I think that he would probably marry them off to Lannister or Tyrell kids, or
Or
maybe even
Jace,
Cregan.
just Jace, Jace
That's
and Luke,
if
just like the original timeline.
the main reason why Rhaenyra was married them to uh, Baela and Rhaena was, one, legitimacy. Two, they they she binds Damon and Lena to her cause, us us with their along with their dragons. That's the reason why. Damon doesn't if Damon is the heir, he's not gonna marry. He's probably not gonna marry Rhaenyra's kids to his. I think that he would most likely go with marrying off his kids to either Cregan Stark or some others.
Wasn't Harwin Strong a member of Kingsguard?
No, he was just Rhaenyra's sworn shield.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, she could. I don't know if she would. I kind of was like, I don't know how to make conflict on this one. With the what if Viserys' son Balon survived? Um, and make it somewhat different and make it plausible. One of the problems is I have to really come up with different things for the House of the Dragon in order to make some kind of conflict if the Greens are neutralized, because it's very difficult when one side has a totalitarian grip on power. In the in Game of
Wait,
Thrones, you have
I didn't. Yes, wait. I haven't saw the video of Balon surviving. Like, what did you do? Did Viserys made him heir?
yes, he did.
Okay. Let me. I have a better theory for Balon surviving. Let's go with this. Balon survives, and of course, Viserys' wife didn't make it. She dies, but
Mhm.
he thinks about that he killed his wife because of his ambitions, and he thinks that Rhaenyra deserves the throne. So he makes Rhaenyra the heir, and Balon is just gonna be Balon. So, what side would Balon take, like the Greens or the Blacks?
Um, that
And I'm
I
gonna say
I
this
just
that the Balon, I'm gonna say
I
this
think
that
it
Balon
probably
will claim Vermithor.
okay. I had it that his Cradle Egg hatched. I just read at that his Cradle Egg hatched and he didn't claim him Vermithor, that he
Yeah,
had
I
his
just
own
think that
dragon.
the coolest dragon should be given to one of the coolest characters.
Oh, I read that Balon actually is slightly infirm and that he needs somebody else to act as his helper. It's kind of like
Yeah, I
Daron.
remember now. I actually remember the theory now. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did
I
watch it.
yeah. My thought with that is that we have a that the fact that he's got health problems is going to affect that he was born slightly like his mom's pregnancy problems would make it so that he has physical infirmities. I did pitch the idea of having Jon Snow reborn during Hot House of the Dragon, and I'm gonna try writing that this week on top of what if Arya Martell married Robb Stark, and
Jon Snow reborn as Balon. That would be
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But what theory I am like suggesting is Balon survives, the mother dies, but Rhaenyra gets to be the heir.
I don't know if that would necessarily be plausible unless it's part of the prompt.
And, Viserys is quite emotional, so that can happen.
I if it's Emma's son, he would I imagine that he would just say no. She was yeah, Rhaenyra might be my daughter, but this is the son that
He would,
Emma died to give me.
yeah, but he would feel the regret that he killed his wife and because of an heir when he did have an heir.
Why why would he not just go with the son, Emma's son?
Because this is a what if, like we do what ifs.
Well, I just mean like we have to keep it plausible, and I don't think that that's necessarily plausible.
Let's
I
like make Viserys very sober, very fine, very emotional, and he just thinks and just takes the blame for himself. And
even if
just for the theory, because he thinks that he already had an heir, and but he couldn't see, and he wanted more heirs, so like the wife died. What I mean to say.
or theoretically, he just marries Rhaenyra to Aegon, or Rhaenyra to Balon, and then problem solved.
Yeah, that's also one of the best thing.
Yeah. So you need Rhaenyra heir because he didn't have his. Yeah. So it's basically she's the only option left. He didn't do it because of guilt,
Yeah, but
which that
I'm like
makes.
suggesting this theory of the guild.
I think it's interesting, but I'm like, there has to be continuity of the character. I think it could be interesting, but we have to keep within in the limits. I think it's an interesting fan fiction idea, but I have to keep it somewhat plausible. And
Okay.
I don't think that I think that because he's like the original reason for Rhaenyra becoming heir was because she is the only option, um, not not necessarily because of the guilt. So, since
Yeah,
there have
let's
been no
just say
terms
that,
changed,
let's just say that Viserys' wife tells him before she dies that make Rhaenyra the heir. Just let's go with that. How's that?
mm, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and that would cause a lot more political problems. The only reason why he was able to make Rhaenyra his heir is because she was the only choice, and he didn't change it despite political pressure because she was Aemma's last kid. And yes, yeah, it would undermine his own legitimacy if he did that. Is if he prefers his daughter over his son, that would weaken his own claim, which is something he never did. Uh, so it's it puts him in if he has his own first son with Emma and there's no like second wife uh stuff going on,
Yeah, let's
it's
go with that. That he's just too emotional to take a second wife, and his like first wife says to him before she dies that make Rhaenyra the heir because like she's the firstborn.
the problem is that's an immensely stupid political move is the problem.
Yeah.
That is like Viserys is not intelligent at all, but he he is at least he is at least intelligent enough not to undermine his own rule in that way. Because if he tries all of this time to have a son, and then he just names Rhaenyra his heir, even after he's got the son he's waited for all this time, that just feels like we're contorting the character a bit too far for the sake of conflict. And it's more likely that Rhaenyra either she just kind of goes off on her own, doesn't do anything, or she um, becomes an antagonist. Those are the main options that I can see that are plausible if Balon lives. Uh,
Yeah, Rhaenyra going evil is good. That we can go with that, I guess.
yeah, since and I do think that one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is I am kind of debating which is between two options with the Jon being reborn as Balon going back to House 3. I know I'm definitely not going to do the anything after his resurrection. It's just end of book 5. I'm not doing anything further. I'm not doing anything after his. I'm not doing post resurrection. Him finding out about that stuff. That's not interesting. I'm just gonna do he dies and is trying to figure things out. I think that would be much more interesting.
Yeah, like
So
you gotta like no knowledge. Like John will go blindly in this timeline.
uh Jon the idea that I had is that Jon dies at the wall, um, at the
Of
mutiny,
course.
and then he immediately gets sent back to Hotby. That would be the idea that I would go with. Because I am not dealing with all of the post
The memory one. Oh yeah, I remember. Of course. Like that is just
yeah.
so lame that they are getting memories of them. Like 5 years later, they are having flashbacks. Yeah, that is just fun.
Yeah, for me, I just have it be that
Reborn should.
they're
Yeah. Reborn should just mean reborn.
Oh yeah, that's what I do. Like where they have it from when they're small kids. Is
Yeah.
That's how I've done it. With both with the uh John and Rob Duo Reborn, with um Robert and Rhaegar Reborn, um, um and um okay, that would be funny. I would like that.
There should be like small 10 minutes like funny theories just like this.
Yeah. I've got a few. Like I've suggested, what if Kevin home aloned King's Landing in preparation for Aegon and John Con. I think that would be really. I think that I would love writing that. It would not do well, I imagine, but it would be really funny. Where it's just a series of deadly pranks and deadly traps scattered throughout King's Landing. That would be funny.
Like, okay. What if the king, the people, the peasants became independent after the Mad King dies? What do you think about that?
Sorry, could you repeat that? There was a lot of background noise. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm saying like, what if the peasants, the lowborn, you know, demands independent after the Mad King dies?
Um, Independence as in more rights,
You know, like
or
elections and everything like that.
um, like a peasant
Democracy.
revolt. Probably some kind of peasant revolt. That there would probably be. It depends how many are revolting. Like everyone, because functionally, if the peasants revolt, that means that they don't have an army.
There
Because
were 500,000 peasants in King's Landing alone. I think that would make a difference.
oh yeah, I agree. I think it would. I'm just thinking, uh, who are we saying that the Lannister, like the entire population, like the entire Smallfoot population, does it? Because if they do, that includes soldiers who uh who would be the people fighting to put down the peasant revolt. So theoretically, it work.
Yeah, like
Or,
thinking about like how our independence would like one of that thing would be just good. And like they will hold elections, votings, and everything after that.
hmm, yeah,
And
that
I
might be
believe the
cool.
High Septon would try to get elected, but that would not make sense because he's a High Septon.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The Faith of the Seven is a cucked loser religion
Yeah.
that has no power. It's kind of similar to the old gods, where the old gods religion is just a vibes religion that's based on uh, Weirwood, worship the Weirwood net and the children of the forest ghosts that are stuck within it.
And also they have superpowers.
Yeah, that's too. Yeah, probably because they did some children of the forest X X in all likelihood, because that tends to be how A Song of Ice and Fire magic works, is because you mate with unnatural creatures, or you gene splice in psychic genes into yourself like the Valyrians did. That's my thought, at least, on it, where the gods are fake in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Let's see. I'm just doing a little bit of live writing, just so I'm keeping up. Right now, I'm just kind of working on Robb Stark married Arya Martell. That's kind of one of the things I want to do. Maybe I'll kind of right from the beginning with one of the things that let me try to.
Okay, I should just leave now.
All right, yeah, no worries.
Right.
Yeah, see you later.
I just write your story. That seems good.
Yeah, I don't really have. But yeah, that's. I really want to do that one. I think that would be really funny.
I mean, the Lannister would just have more power than anybody else because Rhaenyra is the heir.
They're also rich.
Also, no money problem because she's with Lannisters.
Yeah, they would effectively just loan out lots of money. I think also they wouldn't separate the treasury very much. They wouldn't be able to separate the treasury to that degree.
That's actually a good theory. It could change very much.
I would agree.
Yeah, I of course do think that Hightowers will still declare Aegon the king.
Oh, undoubtedly. The problem is she now has they the problem that they run into. They were able to get as far as they were able to because of the fact that they had the big prosperous kingdoms, even though the Gary Stews known as the Tullys and Blackwoods were able to basically do all of the legwork for the war during the dance, where Cregan Stark's useless. The Vale's basically useless. And the Stormlands are useless during the dance. None of those guys do anything. But yeah, and if she has the Westerlands, the Westerlands have the second biggest army, and they are right next to the High Towers, so they can theoretically just smash into the Reach and destroy it.
And we have all the dragons.
Yeah. So that would create a lot of problems.
Okay, but would Daemon join Rhaenyra? That's
I
like
think
the question because I think the only reason he joins Rhaenyra because he marries her. I don't really see another reason for him to join her.
His
He's
daughter
like a
gets to be queen. His daughter would get to be queen. And he doesn't have the support to do it himself. If we look at his story within,
if we try to, Daemon just raises himself to be the king. Like then there are three claimants who wants to sit on the throne. Aegon is already on the throne. Daemon wants to be on the throne, and Rhaenyra is the official heir.
Daemon could have taken the throne after he married Laena Velaryon, but he didn't.
Let's go that he does everything after like Viserys dies and Aegon is crowned, and then he starts taking the actions and declares himself, the king.
Does he need to if his daughter is married to Rhaenyra's son, or is betrothed to Rhaenyra's son?
I'll say let's be, unique. Let's be creative. Let's do that.
Well, there's a difference between creative and insane.
Three claimants, and
It could be
it will
interesting,
just
but
be so crazy, the wars and everything. I think the Baratheons would support Daemon, probably.
why?
Because I think like if Daemon marries, his daughters, like some powerful figures, not Jace or Luke, it's something, someone else.
Hmm, maybe. I think that so if since Rhaenyra so it's fundamentally against his so Rhaenyra would likely still be good friends with Lena, and she would understand the very, very important thing that both Lena and Daemon have the two largest dragons, and she would betroth her children to theirs, and that would cement them. There's the major problem that Daemon cannot raise an army that would match them. Uh, there's also he, yes, he might be allied with Corlys Valerian, but the problem is they don't
You know about
have
something about the power share agreement? One of the things about the power sharing agreement is that Rhaenyra isn't married to Daemon in this timeline. She's married to someone who will live longer, and Laenor just dies and just goes to somewhere. That doesn't happen here. I don't think Tyrion would die. So
Well, I just think make Jason Lannister marry her instead of Laenor. That's my thought. That would be my thought. And she gets the
yeah,
Valarians, and so she would get the Valarians on site by engaging her children to.
okay. Let's say Valerians join Daemon because Corlys and Daemon also fought in the Triarchy, so that is something. And also that Daemon married Lena, that is also something.
Yeah,
Valerian supporting Daemon is, realistic.
it is, but there's so are we just going to say that that Rhaenyra is dumb and doesn't betroth her sons to Daemon's daughters to get him
Let's
on
just
side with
say,
her?
let's just say that the Lannisters, plan something of more uniqueness. And wait, Jace and Luke doesn't exist in this timeline. Let's say that she has only daughters.
Well, let me
What?
see something. Jason Lannister. Let me
Yeah,
see.
like what if she doesn't have any male, only female children? That is something because Harwin isn't there.
So we have so that could be interesting where he has five daughters and then one son. Um, that could be something where because he has five with Joanna Lannister, and theoretically there could be the thing of Rhaenyra is likes Johanna Lannister because or Johanna Westerling in this because Johanna Westerling is actually like really a badass. Like she's actually really cool. But if she would likely if she has all daughters, that does create interesting problems. That
Yeah,
might
then there are
stop
real
her.
reasons for Daemon to stand up as a king.
Yeah. The funny thing is that there it would be very interesting, very bloody. We'd have to one of the things we would have to do is we would definitely have to cut down a lot of the early bits in order to have word count room for the war to make sure it develops properly.
And one of the things about Daemon is that he's not waiting for the army to come. He's just taking the dragon and burning everything.
That's not his characterization.
I mean, in the show, like it just says that
I'm
take
not
the
doing.
dragon and burn everything.
I'm not doing the show. I am never going to do the show. I hate the show. The show is actually asinine and stupid because in the book,
Understandable.
because they've actually reversed the characterization of Rhaenys and Daemon, where Rhaenys is actually the firebrand who wants to unleash the dragons, and Daemon is the guy advising diplomacy because he's smarter than she is and more experienced at war because she has not had to go through war because George just kind of forgot about Rhaenys Targaryen, even when he was re-editing Fire and Blood, because George do be like that sometimes.
So now, what do you
And
think what will happen?
I think that what would happen is Daemon initially starts using diplomacy and says, "I'm the real heir." Yeah, that scene was asinine. I hate that stupid scene. That was one of the worst scenes. And that's the worst scene of season 1. Um that was so stupid. Um I honestly I was baffled when that happened, and then when I heard their justification for it that they just wanted a badass moment for Rhaenys, I was like, you people are idiots. What is wrong with you? Um and I was so angry. I was just like, please justify this crap to me. And then when they attempted to justify it, I was like, piss off, Joe. Don't give me this. Why are you insulting my intelligence? Come on. I really
By
I
the way, when I saw, the fate to, come to the throne room to talk with Renara in the show, like the scene was so dumb. I mean, the faith, the angel is just dumb in itself because they said that dragons are dark, evil forces of blood magic and all that shit. But who created the Iron Throne? They should know that. Pointing at the dragons while they created everything, while they did everything, while because faith survives because of them. That is something. Like they are just so
mhm.
dumb. The Andalry is just so dumb. I hate them so much.
um I'll defend it a little bit where that's kind of the Faith of the Seven would have existed without the Targaryens because the only way to really destroy the Faith is to kill everybody in Westeros except for the North. Um,
I
and
mean,
you
they can
can't
make
really do that.
examples. Maegor made a great example.
He tried, but the problem is people hang on to their faith pretty hardcore, and even though the Faith of the Seven doesn't have any tenets, doesn't really have any doctrine, there's still an element of the people are going to um, uh, they're going to hold on to the religion of their forefathers. And
Yeah, one of the scenes that I love from the show is that when Damon talks to Rhaenyra about destroying the faith completely and establishing the Targaryens themselves as gods. That scene was perfect. That like resembled the Targaryen madness and everything.
I think that would be interest. I think that's interesting, but I don't know if that would necessarily fly because there's at least some measure of limits with what you could possibly do, even with dragons. The faith was willing to permit the doctrinal exceptionalism so long as polygamy was gotten rid of. Um, but if the Targaryens just say, "Hey, we're gods now, worship us," that's going to create problems. We're going to have faith uprisings
Yeah,
because
just
they don't have
like they have
control.
dragons. If the Targaryen just let Maegor do his things, that would have been so great. Maegor would have done like Maegor would have erased Andalry from existence. He would have killed everyone. He would have made them turn into, the old gods or something like that. Megor, if only Megor lived, like, he's my goat, bro.
I don't know if Magor would have. I think the part of the thing is you actually, if you try to, Magor was not the
Convert
right
people.
person to. Uh, Magor was not the right person because one of the things about getting people to give up their beliefs is that you can't try to pull it out of their hands as Magor does. You have to convince them to let it go, and Magor
Yeah,
was the
like,
wrong person to do that.
okay, not
He did
Megor,
not
but
have.
let's do something like, which is like possible. Okay, let's do something like that. Well, Raymond becoming smart. That is something he can easily do that. And I'm giving you a real example. In India, when Mughals came to India, they converted many people to Muslims by force and by using their brains. Like, there are things people can be converted. Okay.
Oh, they can be. I'm just saying that um, I fully agree with you. I think that it's just it would be very difficult considering that the Faith of the Seven is a massive religion, is basically the only game in town, and they would have to have theocratically trained um, doctrinal people, like they did with the doctrine of exceptionalism, to explain that the Targaryens are gods.
I mean, to be honest,
Um,
there are many people who thinks that Targaryens are gods because of their dragons.
hmm, in some cases, yes, but I think that if they just declared themselves god kings over Westeros, there would be some problems with the faith.
Yeah, just that's what I'm saying. Just erase everything related to the faith.
That would be really tough. You would basically have to commit genocide on everybody in Westeros. You have to kill everybody who's Faith of the Seven, which is pretty much everybody south of the neck.
Yeah, Ares would have done that.
Yeah, because Ares is a moron.
Yeah.
Um,
But let's
Baylor
think
almost
about
did for
someone
it.
smart. Let's think about someone smart who can really do that without doing genocide.
Uh, that one's tough because you need something to replace it, and the Valyrian religion is kind of dead. There's nobody really who can argue it. Part of the problem is there's you could try, I guess, but the problem is I don't. Yeah, that's you'd need. Yeah, you that is pretty true. Nobody smart would commit. Yeah, because functionally, it's the religion of their forefathers, and there isn't
Okay,
really
I'm
anything
saying
to
like,
it.
doing smart things like converting people by talking to them, by that, like starting small. Okay,
I don't
real
think
life
they.
examples. There are life examples.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of stuff like the growth of the LDS Church in America and across Europe. I'm just thinking in Westeros, because this is a medieval setting. In order to convert to a new religion, that is
I
most of the
mean,
time you
okay,
convert to a new
let me tell you
because
something. Okay, if
Mhm.
a person, okay, if a person like majestic person with a damn big dragon comes to you and says to you that he's a god, if you don't accept him, there are things that can happen, and there's a dragon behind him. What would you do?
Tell him, "Yep, your worship, I will worship your God," and then go back to worshiping my own gods.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That can happen. Like the faith can be resurrected, but for a brief time, the Targaryens will think, yeah, that they're gods, and they can be backstabbed, poisoned, and many things.
Yeah. The thought that I had, well, it's just if we want to erase Andal culture in general, you have to kill everybody in order to make them do it.
Yeah,
Because
that's true. And I'm not killing. Like I'm saying, if there are any smart ways, like taking examples from real people.
Well, the thing about it is, in order to, what I have found that in order to get people a mass conversion of a lot of people is that you have to either have it be
Like the
because
way Melisandre did it. Okay, just like take the example of Melisandre. She turned many people of Stannis to follow the Red God.
yeah, which honestly they don't explain because that whole thing doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
So like
that they
let's go by
George just
that.
glosses over it really quickly because it's kind of he just needs it for the plot to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's say something like the Targaryen said this to the people, like what did the gods give you? They gave you poverty, they gave you poverty and everything like that. They didn't give you food. But the Targaryens, we will give you food, clothes, homes and everything like that. That something like the real people did.
hmm, maybe I'm not sure how we would do that necessarily. Like
This will
in terms of
not
like
be
the
a video
prompt.
of talk, this will be like a documentary or something.
Oh, it would be interesting. Yeah, I think that what they would probably do. One of the things about religions that I have found, at least, is that it is better when you have some form of comparison, at least when you're introducing kind of a niche religion
This
and
is
making
like
it
a this is like a plot which can lead to like 12 episodes of 3 theorist videos. Like let's
possibly.
see, yeah, let's say from Aegon the first to like Ares the second. They're like they are just trying to become gods.
Hmm,
And also, if they are trying to become gods, there will be no inner fighting probably because they will be more focused to enhancing their image rather than fighting themselves.
hmm. That would make sense. Where they basically only marry Valarians
Yeah,
or people from the free or Valyrians from the free cities or stuff like that.
yeah, because they want to keep their blood clean and stuff like that. I think there is a high possibility this can happen. You need like 12 episodes of videos, but I think this can happen. It's a really good plot. And the North did accepted the new gods, like they didn't oppose it that much. They like talk about the old gods and the new, like they don't really oppose it. So something like that should also can happen.
Which I think is odd because I think that they swear by the old gods and the new, as if they exist. I think that they have this. One of the things about it is that they kind of have a similar attitude towards it that ancient people had, where they believed that all gods existed. It's just that some gods were better than others.
So that's
That
what I'm
seems to be
saying
the
too.
case.
Like they'll say the old gods and the new and the Targaryens, something like that.
Possibly. I think the Targaryens would probably just do the Valyrian gods, and we would have to make up everything about that because functionally we know nothing about them besides four names. That's the extent of what we know about the Valyrian
Okay,
gods.
I have to go now. But
All
see
right.
you guys later and
Yeah.
bye.
See ya. Bye. All right. Good discussion. I like that. Anyway, so for the couple people in chat, would you guys like me to chat and play a game, or would you like me to watch me live write a script? I'm down to do either and just kind of try to talk about it at the same time. I hope the background noise isn't too bad. I made sure to automatically, let me just check on the audio. Okay, we got that. Let me just check. Yeah. So, kind of my thought, I kind of was interested to kind of hear your thoughts. I think that if in the original, because functionally the main thing I can consider with the Jon Snow being reborn during Hot House of the Dragon he's going to be going into Balon's body, and there is kind of the question of what is going to happen. Um, I'll start editing here. Who? Oh yeah, yeah, I like that one. Yeah. So my thought is I'm going to be, what do I do? Is because mainly it's going to be he's basically, one of the things about this situation is that John is going to be born into a body that is significantly younger than the others, unless, let me take a look. Aaron, let me check something, because putting three son. Let me see. Okay, let me check. Do. Then a day later. Teen died in the cradle. Okay, so after 4 years. Okay, so there's kind of the question. Do we want to do the theory that John is born as Balon Targaryen, the heir for a day, or do we want to do him as the unknown son that dies in the cradle before Rhaenyra? So let me actually check the book. Let's see, where is that bit? All right. Finish from his mother. Let's see, where do we put it in later? Quotes from the part. That's boring. George Valerian's kind of he's an interesting character in theory, but he doesn't do much. He's kind of just kind of there is one of my problems with him. Where is the reference to question of succession? All right, let's kind of see. It's going to be somewhere. Viserys last. Uh, 101 sweet. She's 4 by the time of the Great Council. Alrighty. 16 disappointed. Viserys. Death of one son over the course of the marriage. It's not, because let's see. So she was bidded. Okay, so that's kind of the question. Do we want to do because we have two options. We either do the unknown son in the cradle or we do Balon. If we do Balon, he is significantly younger than Rhaenyra or any possible marriage options. And also there's kind of the inherent weirdness of he's having sex with his direct ancestor if he marries Rhaenyra, which is probably the most likely thing since the Targs do like doing that and only marry the Valorians if they really, really, really have to. So I do want to keep some of the thing where um, Balon is not very healthy because I want to have the Jon be thinking about Tyrion. Let me pull up the exact quote. Tyrion Lannister. There's a quote. Tyrion Lannister. Gave Ice and Fire. Let's pull that up. He's got some quotes. The specific quote is I'm looking. My mind is my weapon. My brother has a sword. King Robert has a warhammer. I have my mind, and I'm minding these books. So I want to. I think that utilizing that quote and making Jon have to develop his mind, and since his sword capability is not as good. Dragon Seed. That's a very good point. Hmm. Hmm. What time frame do we want to do exactly? If he's a dragon seed, then he's going to be excised from a lot of the events of the plot, and he's just kind of going to be down on the ground, unable to really do anything. If he's just a dragon seed, I don't know. Since one of the principles of if he's reborn during House of the Dragon is that he, to a certain extent, interacts with the main characters. And if he's just a dragon seed, unless he is a noble bastard, he's not going to be able to interact with people like Daemon, Rhaenyra, etc. And that was my thought that's my thought at least for just being OC. That's basically Jon. If he's he could. Okay. Hmm. And whose Dragon Seed would he be? Since Daemon's actually surprisingly careful. If Daemon actually is, yeah, that could be interesting. Okay. Hmm. Okay. And do we want to keep him as physically healthy? Since I imagine if Dragon Seeds are generally more physically healthy than the babies of the Targaryens, by and large, unless we kind of go with the idea that there's just mental instability. That's a good possibility. And kind of what era is he born? Is he, because Daemon's generally fairly careful about impregnation, because even though there's a lot of reports of him just having sex all over the place. Hey, how's it going? We have no bastards of Daemon ever coming up, even though other than Mysaria, she's the only confirmed one. So either he's having them drink moon tea like crazy, or he isn't as sexually depraved as people might think. He's still sexually depraved, but there's limitations. That's a good point. I don't know. It's a good point. I'll have to discuss that. Uh, Sarah's bastard son. Oh. Ooh. Okay. That actually has some good possibilities. That's a very big surprise. Oh. Hey, how's it going, Mr. Thunfish? Ooh, I actually really like that. Where and okay, okay. Hmm. Well, I don't have any right now, but if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer about the writing process, about script writing. That might actually be more interesting. Hmm. I was kind of thinking that he would. I was kind of thinking he'd be Balon, but I guess he's maybe just kind of there. The question is because Sarah is freaking rich. Um, why would she kind of let her son give her son to a family of fishermen? How do we find the ideas? It's a mix. There's the Discord. There's the YouTube comments that our channel guy will pull through, and he'll just pull the what ifs, create a spreadsheet, and then just put them into what's called our Trello board. And then there'll be a few times where I'll just pitch an idea. So those are the main times. So that would be my those would be the main place for us finding the ideas. As far as the prompts go, when we get the prompt, there are, let me see, one, two, three. There are four other writers um, that are on the team as me. I couldn't write that many. It takes me about 6 to 8 hours to write one of these. And I take a while to do it. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking I can't live write necessarily and have it be. I can brainstorm, but I can't live write. That's a good point. Maybe we'll have to do. We may have to do John Reborn as. Yeah, but I like this idea that he's Sarah's illegitimate son. That actually might be interesting. Hmm. Since I would like to do at some point Balon, him reborn as Balon, because that would be really interesting. Um, but I think that making him Sarah's illegitimate kid might have some interesting stuff potential, and um, We could also have him kind of be around during the. He just maybe he could also be that his brothers dump him. That might be interesting. Vermithor, okay. It's a matter of I think that's great. Yeah, I like that idea where he bonds with Vermithor since I quite like putting it in there. Let me think. What are some other? I like that plan. It's a good idea. Yeah, and then I just need to figure out how he. So does she just drop it off with a group of fishermen and hopes that he grabs the dragon? That's kind of that's the thing that I'm having to figure out. Or does he just run off during the Great Council of 101? Or doesn't have to be fishermen. Or like dropped off with somebody. Maybe some like um or another option is Sarah herself. There is another option, and that is Sarah herself just shacks up on Dragonstone, doesn't say who she is since it's been a while, and just is masquerades as a merchant and just raises John. What do you think of that? That might be an interesting one to go where he has a mom, but she's a toxic mom. Yeah. Okay, let's go with that. Where she's she all right, let's do that. Then we'll probably do that one. Oh yeah, no, like this would be she doesn't even go to the Seven Kingdoms during the Great Council of 101. And let me Sarah Targaryen. Okay, so Sarah Targaryen, she's 40, she's 35. No, 30. Okay, so she is about 34 by the time of the Great Council of 101, which would mean that she doesn't go to the what was it? The Great Council of 101. And she leaves let's see. She had 3. Let's see. When did Okay, so she's 17 when she leaves. So it's been about 17 years. So theoretically, nobody would really know what she looks like. And if she goes right after and thinks about, and he's maybe her fourth child since she is sexually promiscuous, she could go at around have her be born, have him just go to Dragonstone, figure out how to get the dragon, and then from there, or go from there. Then once he claims it after Viserys is born, or if Viserys is crowned king, that creates interesting conflict. And it'll be kind of fascinating because she'll kind of be almost like a Morgana Le Fay with Mordred type situation. And I think I might even just make him Mordred. I think I might name him that because why not? Okay. I'm liking that. Okay, that has some. That's going to be very unique and very different. Okay, that's some good stuff there. I like that, Mr. Groggy. Okay. Other things we got. I am actually kind of running out of steam, but I've got some good ideas so far. I like that. But I think that I will have to call it good there. Thank you all for coming. This was fun. I may do this. I think I might just do both both Daron theories tomorrow, and just do a twofer, just to get them out of the way. Especially, and since I'm not going to be in town for most of the weekend, for all of Friday, Saturday, and the weekend, since I'm going down to Cedar City. But yeah, tomorrow we'll just do a pretty long stream. I'm enjoying having the my stuff back, and unlimited streaming hours. I'll probably just kind of front load a lot, so that I can do this more periodically. I'll figure out other topics for live streams so that we can just talk writing. But for now, I just kind of want to get through all of my commentaries and kind of explain the writing techniques around it. But I think we'll call it good there. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your feedback and the brainstorming help. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Enough! Kill me! Just end it. No.